Hello, hello. Happy Monday, October 6th, 2025. How was everyone? I have a light out above my head. Um, yes, I was combing my hair, brushing my teeth, putting on a dab of Old Spice. Slumberland, hello. You wrote me a DM on Slack with a photo. Success Esterbrook Safari with the Schaefer cartridge from the Star Wars fountain pens fit. Yeah, sometimes you can get those to fit. You usually have to pre-pierce the Schaefer cartridge. They do have a tendency to get a little loose though. I can't remember if you can actually get a converter to fit. I think they might be too long, but maybe the aerometric version may or may not fit. Um, I don't recall. Okay, ordered one. All right. It's been a long time since I messed with those. What else is going on here? Let's see. Juicy, you bought a load of old Schaefer. Can't get the converter out of one. A load of old Schaefer, like a lot. So what's a load? Um, anyway, sorry for Thursday. I guess Thursday I didn't have a stream. I uh, I needed a day off, so and I had some other things I wanted to do. Over 20, you got over 20 Schaefers. Nice, that's nice. Um, I needed a day off, and I had a lot of things that I wanted to do, and just keep my mind busy. I was not in the best headspace on Thursday, so and we were up late Wednesday night, and Thursday's my early day, so I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Um, how was the weekend? Did I ride my bike? Yeah, I'm embarrassed to admit I haven't ridden my bike outside in going on a year and a half. Uh, but I just do love riding my bike on the trainer indoors. I love using Zwift. I think it's a really cool platform. It really simplifies the whole getting ready process. It 100% eliminates the possibility of getting hit by a car, and I've been hit by cars several times um, in my life. So um, I really like Swift, and oddly enough, I've only found one other pen person that I'm aware of that is on Zwift, and he rides like twice a year on Zwift, so maybe three times a year. Um, so I don't have any regular Zwifters that I can ride with, but that's okay. Don't apologize for taking time to breathe. Yeah, I know I don't want to let you folks down. I know you got it's fun to come in here and chat, but it was just a particularly bad day. So like I always tell everybody, if you're having a bad day, do not repair pens. And your stream is frozen. Let me see what's well, it looks on my end, it looks reasonably okay. You've lost me. Well, I'm not going anywhere. Did I find anything cool over the weekend? Um, yeah, sort of. So Thursday morning, we there was a. I'm okay on Slack. Okay, yeah, it must be YouTube side. Um, Saturday morning there was a flea market going on at a local antique shop, and they have like an outdoor, and they've um, got a new indoor section. So I thought, well, maybe we'll go, and that should be a cool thing to attend. And it was very weird, and there was like nothing, um, nothing going on. Oh, we got a lot of people having problems on. Huh. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. YouTube tells me I'm okay. OBS tells I'm okay. Well, maybe it'll work itself out. I don't know. We must have had a power outage last night or this morning here. I came in, all my computers were shut off. Okay. You're on Twitch. You saw study. Well, okay. Slumberland says we're fine on Twitch. Well, let's just keep moving along. Let's just keep moving along. So, it's fine once you log off and back on. Okay. Try that maybe if you're having a problem. But anyway, we were at the antique store, and it happened to be the antique store that I wanted to go to the last couple of weekends because they're somewhat local. I look over. I'm very easily sidetracked today, but I have a cup of coffee, and it's foaming at the top. I don't. Why is it foaming? I don't know why it's foaming. And we looked around, and there was not much going on at the antique mall. I did, however, happen to spot in the back of one particular booth a hard rubber pen with a gold nib with no cap, and a grand price tag of $10 on it. And so I went and got the key, and lo and behold, it was an Aiken Lambert, early Aiken Lambert lever filler. It happens when you add ink to your coffee. Yeah, maybe. And so for $10, I got myself a capless, I guess, Aiken Lambert lever filler. The nib's there's a little tipping left. It's like it was ground down flat, but I can still see that there's some tipping, so I might be able to smooth it out. However, the bigger issue is the fact that it doesn't have a cap. So I figure for $10, the section in the feed is at least worth that. And the barrel's in good shape too. So I just kind of threw it in the parts bin for now. But for $10, I'll take every Aiken Lambert I can find. Every single one. Yeah. I might have a cap for it. I don't usually sell Aiken Lamberts because I usually keep them all for myself. Get someone with a 3D printer make me a cap. Well, I don't know. Would be hard to do. I would think. Maybe not. I don't know. It's all that preparation time to get the part made, right? So it was a nice little pen nonetheless. I mean, like I say, I'll buy them all day long for the parts. So, but that was all we found, really. There was nothing else. There was not a single desk set to be found. I hope you all watched the podcast on Friday. That was just pure good fun. Surprising Lisa with those 2 desk sets. Wait, a good laugh about it over it later on in the evening too. We actually had to watch it over, so that was fun. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's pretty fun. So anyway, a little late getting to the stream today, but that's primarily because Mondays are a very busy day here. There's lots of things going on, and more importantly, we decided to become civilized here at the shop, and we got ourselves a coffee maker. Because every once in a while I want like a third cup of coffee. I have one in the morning before we leave. I usually finish it, don't always, and then I have a thermos, my little Contigo here, and then when that's done by noon, it's done. And I forgot. I usually bring water, and I forgot to bring water, so I thought, well, I got to get the coffee maker set up, and then I was screwing around with some other stuff. So anyway, here we are. You found 3 CA101. You found a dark blue. It's dark blue, not the regular blue, right? Dark green and gray. You really found the dark blue. Not the pastel blue. That's outstanding. If you found the dark blue. Fantastic. Fantastic. Congratulations. It is one of the harder to find Esterbrook's there is. and it's not even a regular, like it's not an expensive pen either, but there are so few of the dark blue. I mean, I know, counting you, maybe I know at least 3 people who have one. Mint condition. Oh man, you're killing me. Oh, nice. Good for you. Um, yeah, the white one is hard. The white one is hard. Um, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. And then don't forget you have to add the burgundy. And if you haven't seen, we talked about it on the stream here a couple months ago. The burgundy. Yeah, yeah. Well, up until 2 months ago, I didn't know it existed. I don't know a single human being who has one. Burgundy, not red. Burgundy. It's outstanding. I bought 500. I bought a 500 piece collection, and we drove 6 hours, and we had a pretty good idea. We were 98% sure we were going to buy it, but we wanted to get there and look it over because I wasn't sure. Yeah, I just found it a couple months ago. And I wasn't sure, there was still a possibility like that there were no nibs or there were bad nibs or, because like 500 pens without nibs is not a good deal for almost anybody. And I walked in the room and there were 500 Esterbrookes laid out on the table. And in the far corner, closest to me, was the burgundy. I looked down, I saw it, I looked up. Everybody was chatting. How was the trip? Did you get up early? How was the coffee? Da, da, da. I looked down again. I picked it up. Burgundy. I reached into my pocket and I handed out an envelope full of cash. I said, I'll take it. I don't need to, I don't even need to look at the rest of it. Oh, it was not. And Lisa's like, oh, okay. You want? No, we're good. Here's the money. I don't care. The rest is good. It's all good. And then they all ended up having really great nibs. So, yeah. Any suggestions of what to put your new Auto Hut D2 sterling silver honeycomb? J for bling. Good luck finding that. Man, I don't know. How about a nice burgundy ink? I've been looking at some of those Tashes lately, or Saba Midori. It's a lovely color. Anyway. I'm terrible with that stuff because I've got like 5 bottles of ink and that's like it. So let's try this coffee, huh? I think there's a little bit of, we cleaned this out and I think there's, maybe not. It's the first pot. I ran some hot water through it, or some water through it, through a filter, and then I made a cup, and then I didn't let it get to the full pot before I poured it, so it tastes a little different. Anyway, let's take a look at what's on the bench. Get this out of the way. What we started taking these apart. I don't think we're going to get to these though. What do we have? These guys we've been working on forever, so maybe we can assemble some of these guys and see what's cooking. Got those. I really need to clean off my desk. I've got this 51. That just came in. So we're going to take a look at that. But we've got these 2 oversized. Let's do these first. and then we'll get back into those other ones. How do you clean the sterling silver cap on a 51? Well, the problem with the sterling silver caps is they were plated, and the plating usually it's not as simple as just polishing it. They all look like junk, really, unless it's perfect. Because if the plating starts coming off, it just looks awful. Thank you for the follow. Ogsafta. Did I pronounce that right? Ogsafta? Ogsafta. Yeah, it's a tough one because you can't get it to look good. If it's really bad, you can't get it to look good. Hang on, let me find one. I happen to have one, but what you end up with is this plating coming off, and they all look kind of like this. And really, the only way to do it is I don't even know how you would get the plating off and then replate it. But when you get something like this, it's just how it is, unfortunately. So you always, when you're buying a 51 with the sterling cap, pay more for a better cap. No, I don't think so. I don't know. It's a plating that is over the sterling. Um, so it's just what it is. I don't think anybody's come up with a good solution for that yet. Oh, let me find my talc here. There it is. Yours is just dull, no cracks. Yeah, I mean, you can just run a cloth over it, but if the plating starts coming off, you're sunk. All right, now the trick here is to remember which one is mine. I think this one's mine. Yeah, this one looks like a fine nib here. So I put it on and ink didn't line up, so we got to take it out. That's what happens when you do it without looking at it. All right. I've waited 3 years to write with this pen. Did I hear Modern Esterbrook is making a fountain pen in homage to Charles Schultz's 75th anniversary? I know they had the black and white fountain pen and ballpoint years ago. This is a new release. Yes, I have seen it. I don't know. I don't know the right way to say this. I've seen the pen. I've had the opportunity to purchase a pen. If anybody was interested in buying this pen, there are two, and you can get it in a fountain pen or ballpoint. I am electing not to carry this pen at this time. But if anybody's interested, let me know. I'll be happy to get it for you. If you have to have it. And if you really want to talk about it, shoot me a message back, Joe. I don't know when the release date is. Actually, I can't remember. It's soon. Ooh. To do repairs on stylographs, it depends. If it's a lever filling stylograph and the needle is not bent, yes. Yeah, shoot me an email. Yeah, this one right here will be fine. Right. Vintage stylographs, yeah. I mean, for the most part, a lot of them are just plain old lever fillers. And if the stylograph portion is fine, the needle is straight, you usually don't have a problem. They unscrew, you clean them out, and the back of the stylo is weighted, is usually glass, and then if you clean it so that everything is clean in there, it should operate properly. If the needle is bent in any way, shape, or form, it is near. I've never successfully been able to straighten one out to the point where it's not. I mean, it needs to be perfectly straight in order for that needle and the weight to line up and to go through in the pen. If the needle is bent, it's an exercise in frustration trying to straighten them out. Oh, I missed this pen. Oh, I can't believe it. Three years I've waited to fix this pen. It's not the perfect barrel, but it will do for now. Maybe I'll find a different barrel sometime down the road. It's an early 1900s Onoto, not a lever fill, so assumes that. Yeah, so in an eyedropper, then all you really have to do is you have to clean the barrel. And like I say, usually, I don't remember Onoto off the top of my head. It's been a while. Usually that stylo end unscrews and comes out, and then you just clean out the section in your that part of the section in the weight, and you're good to go. But be very careful when you pull it out. Like, have a cloth ready or something, because those things will roll like no tomorrow. Like the Indy 500 has come to town. Boy, that's nice. I'm putting that in my pocket right now. I don't know what's going on today. Don't like problems. Yeah, YouTube doesn't like it either, does it? There we go. Froze right when I put the pen in my pocket. That's how important that pen is. This one's nice too. I would have thought today of all days, especially since both of my computers rebooted. We wouldn't have any issues, but just don't put another pen in my pocket. No, in case you don't know the story behind that one, I did a video years ago, 3 years ago actually, 3.5 now, um, and my five at the time, five favorite greatest of all time vintage pens, and that was in the list. And after the video, I was decided I was going to fill it up, and upon filling it, the lever snapped in half. It just buckled, and I've been waiting for repair and replacement forever. Oops, I guess this was supposed to be. And I decided I was going to stop waiting for the perfect barrel, and I managed to get a barrel from our own Hans recently. And the nib is just too good to not use. It's fabulous. So I had 3 pens. I was able to make 2 pens out of it. Cap from one, barrel from another, 2 good nibs. And that's a good user grade. It's not a real solid. And then this one I'll sell, so. That's secretary is done. I just need to take that home. All right, let's see what we got here. You've been enjoying your Model J. It writes amazing. Thank you. Trying to see what your next vintage pen purchase will be. That's always fun, right? What is the next one? All right, so let's look at this. This is was giving me problems from the get-go. Well, that seems all right. Yeah, I've never had a pen where the lever just snapped in half like that. It was just really a very depressing moment. But actually, now that the barrel's not quite as nice, I'm actually more inclined to want to use it. Did ink spill in my pocket? No. Get me worried there for a minute. Boy, that went in so much nicer now that we finally cleaned it up. And you have access to chat on your phone. Yeah. That is pretty cool, isn't it? let's just make sure that that lines up. Just kind of pushing this into place. Oh, when I broke the lever. Oh, no. I hadn't inked the pen in a while, so I was trying to ink it, and the sack had actually hardened up a little bit since the last time I used it, and it wasn't rock hard, but it was not very pliable, and that, and I think there was a crack in the lever. Right at the pivot point. Hate to do this, but I need this extra light. I very rarely have had pens leak in my pocket. I had a Retro 51 do it once. Of course, it was on a very short trip, and I didn't bring in a change of clothes. Like literally, I was flying down and driving back in the same day, and I had a piece of thread that got caught in the nose cone of the 51, the Retro, and it wicked all the ink out of the refill. And of course, it was a white shirt. So that was fun. And I really liked the shirt, of course. So, you don't ever get ink in a pocket of a shirt that you don't mind tossing. Amadex wouldn't fix it either. So you would love to talk with someone who primarily used Esterbrook lever fill fountain pen when there were no ballpoints. What an experience that must have been. Yeah. Well, it'd have to be before what? 46, right? Your grandparents and parents are long gone now. Yeah. Yeah, my mom was born in 47. Wow, you had one grandfather who saw Houdini perform, and another one fought in World War One. Wow. Well, that's cool because Houdini is from Apple. Well, he lived in Appleton for quite a while. Did I pull this nib apart? Yeah, was he born in Appleton? I thought he moved here like really early on or something. I can't. I mean, I ought to know this. We used to have actually a few blocks down the street from where my first store used to be. Um, was the Houdini Museum. So Appleton's really hanging on to the he lived here thing. He did not really live in Wisconsin. Yeah, we've adopted him. We did apparently quite a number of years ago. Um, Changed the name of the museum. It used to be the Houdini Museum, and they changed it to the Appleton. What is it? The Appleton Historical Museum or something? We had a great grandfather that was a chauffeur for Woodrow Wilson. Was he the one that got stuck in a bathtub? He was the big. He was the big president. All right, we're gonna need to seal that up. Let's put this together. Oh, Taft was the yeah. Okay, yeah. Taft was the bathtub boy. Bathtub boy. One nice thing about streamlined duofolds is you can actually line up the imprint quite nicely. All right. This is the original J-bar. And on these, they would mark them for slip cap, or slip section rather. Let's take the brush to it. Hello, Jason. Good afternoon. This is how you know it's correct. I don't know if you can see that. Right here, it says 4 slip section pen. So that means a streamline. That's what that's for. So let's hope it. You have to be careful when you put them in that you don't accidentally push back and compress part of the sack. Gotta keep looking for spiders on my Dremel now. That feels good. That's good. How do you find me next time? I stream pretty much Monday through Thursdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., give or take a half an hour in the end, Central Time. So if you go to our YouTube page and click on the live tab, you'll see every afternoon you'll see a little thing for that day's stream. It is very rare that I do not stream 4 days a week. See, anyone lives in the area, dress their kids up for Halloween in spider outfits and go to Brian's place. Yeah, Lisa and I have already discussed it. We're keeping the light off for Halloween. Glenn, how you doing? Happy Monday. Yeah, Monday through Thursday I do the repair stream. Thursdays usually a little bit, sometimes can be a little bit short. But anyway, I start at 2, and then Fridays the repair stream is replaced by the podcast, which is at 1:30 Central live. So there's something live every day. And I usually get it set up by 1:30, if not a little bit before. Yeah, you got it, Sleepwaken. You got it. It all depends on what's going on here too, of course, but I'm within 90% accuracy on that. All right, we're just gonna do this one up, and then I'm gonna seal up the 51 too, I guess, while we're at it. I thought at least I'm a little disappointed. I gotta admit, all you folks out there, um, I a little disappointed. Not one of you snatched up those super cool Royal Hager pottery desk bases. I've had some interest, but nobody's pulled the trigger yet. I have an orange pen in your tray and a green marbleized. You didn't see them. Orange? Oh, you're not talking about this one. That's actually red. Are you? You're holding off to see if Lisa will let me keep them? Well, if nobody buys them, they're mine. That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah, the red one is quite something special. It's a Schaefer, oversized Schaefer secretary. Helen, hello, how are you? Welcome. Um, Not a common pen at all. Dark green and black marbleized. Let me look. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. There was a black chased hard rubber secretary, which admittedly is a different animal than the red, although it's oh, this one here. This well, this dark green one here. This green one is a J Duofold Junior. This one is burgundy. Is a Wall Eversharp stenographer's pen. Which is also not a common pen. Ryan, in your opinion, are Mont Blancs really all that grand? Yeah, they're a grand. Um, Nibs. I'm a little jaded, I guess, maybe. I'm Mont Blanc. Um, Grand and a grand, yeah. And I just find it funny. The longer I'm in this hobby, the more I come to realize certain, are they as good as their belts? They are almost as good as their fanny packs. Um, the longer I'm in this hobby and this business, the more I come to realize that a lot of brands make good nibs. A lot of them. Uh, and there's always some um, slight variance. You know, even Visconti, for much grief as Visconti gets, some of their 18 karat gold nibs are really, really nice. So when I see these wild blanket statements on pen groups online about how Mont Blanc's got the best nibs and this, that, and the other thing, they're not any better than anything that's going to be in this tray, in my opinion. I mean, what defines a good nib? What defines a good nib to you? What defines a good nib to me? Um, and if you're looking for a soft or a flexible nib, that's different, right? That's different. But for a large percentage of people, the nib needs to write, you know, and that's just a real basic need. And I think there are a lot of brands that the nibs just write. Juicy brings up a good point over on YouTube. Says, I like vintage pens more than modern pens. Modern pens are too fat. Yeah. Modern pens, you know, they make vintage oversized pens look tiny. Tiny, you know. I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. Society, at least the non-collecting portion of society, has deemed that a heavier, bigger pen is more prestigious and is better. Well, we all know that's hogwash. That we can safely say is not true. A heavier pen is not better. Hans, you're glad my workplace is now civilized? Next up, an espresso machine. Yeah, it's not a bad looking tray. It turned out all right. Yeah, you got to hear it just in time for a fun debate. It started out Slumberland asking, yeah, are Mont Blancs really all that grand? Now we have chunkers with size 8 nibs. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people want pens that write well. That's really what it boils down to. It's not about looks or size. And and what a lot of manufacturers are selling are pretty writing instruments that sometimes write. You know, Mont Blancs write fine. Some of them. You know, you just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, you can't. There is not a single. There's not a single brand, I don't believe, that is 100% perfect. Aurora is really pretty good. But I have written with some of the most horrid Auroras on the planet. Pilots are pretty consistent. Yeah, pilots are pretty good. Omos is really good, original Omos, but I have written with some awful Omos pens. I've had awful Omos pens that were $1,000, $1,500 a piece. Don't have those anymore. Pilots are good, but keep in mind they also make a thing. They also make a thing called a stub vanishing point nib. And if you've never tried that, nib, now is not the time to try. Actually, I think they may have mostly solved the issue with that. Yes, yeah, having a thicker pen does help with ergonomical issues. Yeah, the lighter the better, though. Yeah. I know, right? The stub vanishing point. What bothers me, I guess, the most is there's never any acknowledgement that there is a problem. And there was clearly a problem with that nib. Because every single stinking stub nib that I sold, I had to adjust. Or it came back. Actually, the first, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them came back. And I had to fix them. And then after that, I said, well, this is nuts. You know, we're gonna fix them before we ship them out because they're awful. You love the 51 you got for me and the Pilot Explorer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was not a fun. Yeah, I didn't want to say that, Hans. It was not great. I had to look at it to make sure it wasn't, you know, it was real. It was surreal is what it was. We're gonna wait on these two. We'll test these tomorrow. How's that sound? Because I want that shellac to dry. I should have not done that, but yeah. So every brand's got their dogs. I mean, have you ever tried the Aurora Italics? Ooh, Nelly, not great. Not great. You wrote, called, and told them in person. Yeah, and most every other nib they have is really good. But my point, I guess, is that every manufacturer's got something decent and something that's not decent, and you just don't know what you're going to get. And there's always some variance, right? There's always a variance. I mean, I've seen Pilot Metropolitans that don't write. They're not good. A Metropolitan. Everybody knows those things are great. Yeah, Yovo with cracked feeds and housings. Yeah, I mean, and everything. There's nothing is perfect, right? And so when I when I see these posts on the forums, they're like, well, how does I just got a new pen, yay, new pen day. How does it write? I'm thinking about getting one. Well, I don't think it's gonna matter how that pen writes. Yeah, not a Metropolitan fan, despite the same nib as the Explorer. Yeah. And sometimes it's not necessarily the nib, but it's the rest of the pen that doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work for you, or it's not. Yeah, every pen, there we go. Russell's got it. Russell's got it here. Over on YouTube, Russell says every pen maker has one or two Edsels. And I like the Edsel. I like the Edsel. But, what is this? This isn't a Symphony. It doesn't have a slipper cap. This is some kind of, is this a Lowy design? I don't even know what this is. On Skyline. Symphony? Who knows? Call it semi-flex. It's kind of more of a medium semi. Nice writer, though. It's funny you mentioned the CA 101. You got one this morning in black? Yeah. Yeah, Slumberland. Check this out. Slumberland gets one in dark blue. It's one of the holy grails of the later 50s for Esterbrook. Edsel transmissions, I don't know anything about those. I will tell. I've probably told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Because obviously there's different people this time. When I was in college, I've always been interested in vintage cars. And when I was in college, I owned a 64 Corvair Monza convertible. And I had a 1970 Mustang. And they were at the time they were both actually were both classic cars at the time. So not to place it any older than it is. But I took a night class. A buddy of mine had told me that there's at a local tech about 45 minutes down the road. They gave a night class once a week, 3 hours on auto body. And so I took this class, and the best part was you could keep your car there, and so you didn't have to worry about a storage unit or anything. I mean, it's sitting outside, but I took the class, and I was going to fix up the Corvair, and there were all sorts of people in the class. I know there was a guy who's fixing up his work truck. There was a couple of younger kids just fresh out of high school. I mean, I wasn't too far out of high school at the time, I guess, but they were younger than me. They were making a Baja Bug, um, and then there was two other guys in the class who did not know each other before they took the class, and they both showed up on the first day with Edsels. I mean, this was the craziest thing. Like, oh, you got an Edsel too, huh? All right. And you'd have thought they were buddies that took the class together, but they weren't. They didn't know each other before the class. Your mom had an Edsel when she was dating your dad. The car was a tank. Actually saved her life when a truck sideswiped a car and she went over a banking end over end. Oh my god! I almost got hit this morning on the way to work in a roundabout. Your most recent love affair is with the Pilot E985S or Elite 95's friction cap. It is so smooth and easy capping and removing the cap. I would add that feature to every pen you own. Yeah. Yeah, they've got that down. And admittedly, so what I do is I always position myself so that I have to make as few lane changes as possible. So when we go through this roundabout, I know there's two lanes in the roundabout, and then when you get out of the roundabout, there are three lanes, and one of them is a left turn only lane. So I pick the rightmost lane so that I'm in the middle lane, which eventually ends up being the left lane, which I can just keep going straight. I don't have to then try to position myself to merge over, into the next lane. But apparently the right lane is technically not supposed to go left, but there's no reason you can't go left from there. And so I do it, which is maybe I shouldn't, but the guy on the inside lane, for whatever reason, decided he was I don't know what he was gonna do. He was gonna go straight. I have no idea. I mean, it was close. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I think I'm just gonna go in the left lane now, and then I'm just gonna have to make a lane change because I don't know what he was thinking. But boy, this is a nice writer. Where did I get this pen? I don't know, man. This is nice. Yeah, man. You call them a rotary. Yeah. Your dad was an insurance adjuster. He used to always preach, wait to see what the driver does, never trust their signals. I don't know. And then then the guy had the audacity to honk at me. Like you're trying to make a right from the inner lane. Well, this is a great nib. People change their mind. Yeah, you must have. You certainly did. Horns are the first thing that fail on all cars in Chicago. Is there a way to know in advance before the big burst that my Esterbrook J needs a new sack? Well, generally, if it feels, if you're feeling pressure, if it's difficult to move the lever, or if it's not taking up a full fill of ink or what you think it should be a full fill of ink, then it's worth looking into. You live in Washington, lots of birds fly out windows when you drive stupidly. Yeah. I've never been to Washington. I got a buddy, who lives there that keeps inviting me over there, but I intend on doing it someday, but I just don't know when that's going to happen. All right, here we go. Let's see if this fills. Keep your fingers crossed. Well, that doesn't look good. Just blurped out. Had a strip of ink come out. Hmm. What would you call this pattern? Ooh. Yeah, Wall Eversharp stenographer's pen. Yeah. I know what I would like to hear from you and the others here. I have two eyedropper fills that I have never filled. So it's ridiculously long posted. Probably not a good idea to post it, but I think I just didn't wipe it off. It is a nice smooth nib. My concern is the you kind of want one for your collection now. It's so unusual. I get bubbles on the first two presses. I mean, really, I don't understand why yeah, I think we're gonna take the section off. I mean, it blows through, but yeah, I think that's just not gonna fly. That should fill more than that. And I don't think the sack size has anything to do with it. So, well, we'll go on and move on to this one here. He's a little. Yeah, if your eyedroppers are vintage silicone grease, I would be very careful about O-rings. I don't know if they're new or vintage, but if they're modern, you can O-rings are often a good solution coupled with silicone grease. But if they're vintage, you have to be careful that the O-rings can cause cracking. Oh, Jinhao, yeah, okay. That feels nice. Spin these. Oh, trying to get the section off of this stinking. Yeah, only O-rings if they're designed for them. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, otherwise you damage the barrel. So will this even fit? You can do that lightly because it didn't really stay in there very well. All right, well, let's try the heat gun. I wonder if this is a threaded section. Because it's a bulb filler. I bet it's a threaded section. I would be right. Comes off easy when you rotate it instead of trying to pull it straight off. Well, yeah, that'll do it. So the reason we were getting flow through was because it was going through the feed channel, not through the breather tube. So I don't know if this is going to be impossible to show you. Well, maybe not. So air was going through the feed channel there. You can see that's completely clogged up. If I blow through that, I get nothing, which is why when I squeeze it, I'm forcing air out, but it's only filling. These only fill as far as the breather tube is. So if your breather tube was down here, it would fill up to here, which is why this is so long. But we're forcing air out. It's coming up to here, and that's it. That's as much ink as is going in there. So we need to get inside of here. At least that's what I think anyway. That's my working theory. All right, so we're just going to dump this in ultrasonic. Now I was able to pull this off. I can actually get dump that in there. Hope I can find that later. I was actually able to get all the way through that. There's actually some decent transparency through the barrel. I don't know if you can see it, but right in this area here, you can see it when I pass the Q-tip through the barrel. Hold it. It's hard to see, but if you hold it up to light, you can see it quite easily. All right, well, that blows free and clear. That's good. Is this time available to watch again? Yeah, this will be up. I leave these up, so. I'm going to test this with water first, see if that. There we go. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And it's going to hold a ton of ink, too. Well, not a ton, but yeah, this looks fine now. Thankfully, it was just a little bit of a blockage. It came out super easy. In fact, so much so that I was I was doubting myself as to whether or not that was the problem. Now, let's see. First thing first, I'm gonna. I know it writes, so let's spin it out a little bit. And then we'll seal up that section with shellac. I would easily write for a whole day for a stenographer. I mean, it is such an extra fine, you know, kind of an extra fine nib that would not be surprised. So let that be a lesson to you, huh? Just because you can blow through it and you can push fluids through it doesn't necessarily mean it's going through the breather tube. And that's in pretty tight. I don't think I need to shellac that in. That's in. Yeah, this and the secretary were really kind of the finds out of that one collection I bought. It was not a great collection. And it just goes to prove, doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, sometimes you screw up and you make a mistake. But I was also playing the part that this person indicated they may have more pens somewhere. So my hope was that I would get the next ones down the line. So there we go. All right. So that's good. Tomorrow we'll look at the 50. We'll test the 51, and we'll put the skyline back together. But these four are really nice, actually. That's that away. I'm not going to put that in my pocket because the last time I did that, the stream froze. But I need this tray. All right, so I got a 51 sent in from a client. It's an Aero. It has a rather peculiar milky looking sack. I think the complaint was it did not fill. Let me just double check the Unable to get ink into the sack when you depress the lever. All right, well, let's take a look with some water first. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's nothing going in there. So how clogged do we think that collector is? And breather tube. The sack actually, as weird looking as it is, does seem reasonably pliable. Yeah, that's pretty gunked up. You can see why that might not write. Collector's not even positioned correctly. I hate to even touch that. If I want some Parker 21s, I got a really interesting pair this morning. That could be yours. Only if it is a button filling 21. All right, well, it did come apart, so I'm not even going to try blowing on that. That's going to go in the ultrasonic. Toss that in there. You can cut off the end and epoxy a Duofold button to them. On the 51 collector, is the big gap on the front or the back of the nib? It should be on the top of the nib. If I had my druthers, I'd replace that sack. Let me see if I actually have a sack. I may have to get some sacks. I know I'm, let's see, am I out? Apparently 51 is a very popular number. All right, well, I'm going to have to order some sacks because I don't have any 51 aerometric sacks. But I think the safest bet, I think, here is to replace this. And even though that does, as long as we can, this is the threaded model. Let's just go ahead and put the correct one in there. I forget how rare the 21 button filler is. It's pretty scarce, as I recall. All right, while we're waiting for that, I'm about ready to give up on this this snorkel here. I mean, I really can't believe that. The vinegar did nothing to this. I've looked. And the sack protector is pushed all the way down, as far as I can tell. Yeah, this snorkel is evil. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that I wasn't able to get something in there. I thought for sure that was going to be the answer. I mean, it's all but evaporated in there right now, but I think it's going to have to go back unrepaired. The sad thing is that apparently it did work at one point. And it moves. It moves. I'm not, yeah, and I'm not trying gasoline or kerosene. I'm just not doing that. It moves a little bit. Like maybe a millimeter of movement. I mean, it seems a little better before, but yeah, I mean, how much time am I going to put into this? You know, you can't, and then this is the age-old thing, right? You can't really charge the customer for your time on a pen. Otherwise, nobody would be able to afford professional pen repair. You know, if we could just get, I'm trying to think what, now we've gone down this path before. And that didn't end so well. And that pen is still sitting in my my parts bin. But what can we break on this pen? What's the least we can break on this to get it open? And you don't want to break anything, but you know, you can't really break the section, because if you break the section, then you got nothing to grab onto. That still doesn't help you get in here. You could try drilling it out. It would be fun. The steel metal could be dissolved with acid. I would try gasoline like Schaefer suggested, but then you burn down your office. Yeah, I've had enough. I've had enough drama for a lifetime, much less the last week or the last 9 months. I mean, you know, there's 4 good parts here. There's a cap, a snorkel tube, a nib, and a feed. Oh, and whatever you call this part. Now I shifted everything, so now I gotta. Chuck the section in your lathe and cut it off flush at the thread. Hope that's enough material gone to remove the rest. Yeah, that would imply that I've got my lathe up and running. I got my I got my my new things for it the other day, or send it back. Yeah, I think this is. I think that's going back is what that's doing. Yeah, the minute you start putting it in the lathe, it becomes a $300 repair, right? Because then you got to charge for that stuff. You really should. That's above and beyond. All right. Black, we already tested that one. That's good to go. Don't know that we actually tested this vac, so let's test this vac. You know, and as much as I like to promise a quick turnaround, this has not been a quick turnaround on these pens. Half of art is knowing when to stop. Yeah. I think we've reached that point. I had an email to the client, and if you're watching, because I know you've watched me work on them before, there'll be an email coming your way. But I've had an email drafted to him for several days, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to try vinegar. And then I never sent the email. So, oh wow, that's a really nice spine. That's a See, now this will be worth it for him. At least, I mean, you know, I hate to see something go back unrestored, but this is really, I don't much like. I mean, it's no secret. I don't much like fine nibs, and don't really care much for them on 51s. But this is very nice. Yeah. Well, 2 out of 3 is better than none out of 3. They were all, every one of them was challenging. And as much as it pains me to say it, and I know Hans will agree with me on this one, sometimes it's all right to have pen repairs that aren't straight up easy. It's good for you. Because if they were all easy, everybody'd be doing it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want the next 10 pens to be like this, but it does add a little bit to the fun. Yeah, it does. It does, you know. As long as they're fixable, you know. It's troubleshooting, it's, you know, it's solving the puzzle. You know, why didn't that Eversharp fill? You know, well, I was able to blow through it. I ran a bulb syringe, flushed it out just quite great. Stupid me trying to pull the section off instead of thinking, well, that obviously it fills in the barrel. It's not going to be a friction fit section. It's going to be threaded. You have a snorkel just like that when you bought just for the nib? That you would like it to work? Yeah. Well, the good thing about snorkels, or what I like about snorkels, is for the most part, everything is interchangeable. You can buy the cheapest Schaefer Special, and the section works on a, you know, a Sentinel. Any advice on getting ebonite feeds to slide in easier? Heat. Assuming the section is ebonite, heat the section. The other thing you can do is, and heat will usually work. You can use a little water, act as a lubricant, or what I think Frank Dubio said was is rub it on a bar of soap, and then it'll slide in. Then you got to flush out all the soap suds. But 51 collectors. Make sure the collector is nice and clean. Get a Q-tip in there. Sometimes the tolerance is really, really tight. And you got to be careful in that case with heat, because you can melt the collector. Or if it's a case of it's not going in, because it'll come to that stop point, right? And you'll feel it kind of snap into place as far as it's going to go. You know, you can get a different collector, but usually you just grab it firm enough and work it in. Breather tubes into feeds. You know, usually it's if it's hard rubber, usually it's a case of heat and having done it, 100 times usually helps. Breather tubes into feeds, you have to make sure that you're not that it hasn't broken off and you're trying to jam something in there. Well, that's a little better. We can deal with that, huh? Yeah, you're not trying to jam it in where it's obviously not going to go, because you've got a little bit of it still in there. So like that's a perfect example. This is, and you got to be careful, because if you can't get that out, you can snap it off, then your brute force lacks brute. Yeah, you gotta know what the proper brute force is. That's the problem. It's experience. I'm going to drop this in there just for a little bit. It's got some ink on that, in that opening, which you're going to see. So now this is really a best case scenario when you're replacing. I've talked about this before, and on 51 aerometrics, replacing the sack is kind of a dangerous operation. But if you come across something like this that's obviously been replaced at some point, you're actually really pretty safe, especially if it's one of these threaded housings that you can easily unscrew. This is literally this couldn't be a better case scenario, because the original sack came off at some point, and there's hopefully something underneath here to replace this with. I think it would maybe be doing a disservice not to replace this sack, because I think it just should. It doesn't look right. So we know that this is probably going to come off pretty easily. In fact, I can run my fingernail over it on the edge and I can see it. Start to come off. And I can feel the nipple all the way down to there. So we know we've got a solid. Nipple softening is a huge issue. Is a very, very big issue, which is why I say if you've got a 51 that fills properly, so let's back up. If you have a 51 that doesn't fill, there are three possibilities. One, the collector is clogged. Two, the breather tube is clogged. Three, you've got a bad sac. It's almost never three. But 1 and 2 are really easy to check, as evidenced here. I mean, that thing was disgusting. I don't know about, and we're gonna let it soak before we even start looking at that breather tube, because it's a Sterling breather tube, which means they're soft, and you try too much, you can snap it off in the feed, and then So if you can't fill the pen, if the pen doesn't fill after you've thoroughly cleaned the collector, verify that the breather tube is good and it's free and clear and you can blow through it, then and only then do you look at replacing the sac. And if the sac has not been replaced before and it's the original one, that's when you have to worry, because it's never been off. You don't know. You can, and just by doing this, you'll peel it back and you go, oh, well, it's starting to come off. But what you're actually doing is you're actually just ripping off the whole nipple off of the collector here, or the connector. And you don't realize it until you've actually physically ripped it off. It's that soft. It will just rip off by the force of your fingernail. So it's a huge issue. So if you can avoid replacing the sac, and there are some people out there who they get a new pen and they have to have a new sac, right? I get that. Latex, easy enough, and you should. Plyglass, it lasts a long time. They last a long time if taken care of. And that's the case where I say just, do no harm. If it fills, or if you can get it to fill by cleaning out the collector and the breather tube, you're good to go. Don't, resist the urge to have it perfectly clean. You got to run, Hans. Okay. Been a good time. Yeah. I hope no nipples rip off today. Yeah. Yeah, you too. Have fun with your family and your brother when he arrives tomorrow. You get brass adapters to convert them to cartridge converter? Well, yeah, I guess you could. But you don't want to, even if you can do that, I'm willing to bet that those aren't cheap. And we don't want to do that every time. I'm just saying, some people will want to swap out a 51 aerometric sac because it's not perfectly clear. when there's nothing wrong with it. Postage is the problem. Yeah. It's part of the problem. For sure. Postage everywhere is a problem. In fact, I've been looking at what it costs me to ship things, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to raise my shipping rates because, um, my free shipping is still fine, whatever, but my non-free shipping charges don't cover the shipping anymore. And in the U.S., the flat rate program is no longer flat rate. Um, it used to be we could say, okay, well, a flat rate envelope costs $8.40. But that's no longer the case. Sometimes it does. But other times, flat rate now is pushing $10. Brass adapters, $12.30. All right, so yeah, look at this. We've got, and this is the part underneath the collector. That the collector was hiding. Ruth, were you going to say something else? There's a comma there. I'm waiting for the second part of the statement. You've been in and out of this discussion, just came back to hear you talk about shipping. I just want you to know that I assume you mean buy from you, even if you get rid of free shipping. No, and that's not what I want to do. But I don't want to lose money on, I mean, even first class shipping, which they don't call first class anymore. The U.S. ground advantage, they call it now. I mean, I don't want to lose money selling 2 sacks to somebody, So I mean, it will be a very modest increase. You hit the return button too soon. I was worried. I was like, oh no, what did I do? I mean, it might be 25 cents, 50 at the most. I don't know. I don't want to make money on shipping. I want to cover my costs. Ooh. Yeah, I think here was the majority of the problem. You see this as I pull this out. You're terrible at typing, especially. You did fine. You did fine. I'm just kidding. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. But there's a lot of people who just, they want it to be Amazon Prime. And they want it to be on sale. And it can't be both. Disgusting to get that close, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, I'm snaking the plumbing. Yeah, it was really clogged up in there. I mean, I probably should have let it soak in the Dr. G's, but I think it did what we needed it to do. All right, so now I'm going to put it back in the ultrasonic. Let's drop that in there for a little bit. Only Monday's turned out to be a busy week already. We got I got a couple of clients coming in to the shop this week. Just a reminder, if you are local or you end up being local, I do accept visitors by appointment only. So if you want to come into the shop and you got something you want me to look at, I certainly can do that. So I got someone coming in tomorrow, some coming in Wednesday. Tomorrow is Lisa's boss has got a charity that he does every year, apparently, where he does a kind of a chili cook-off. And then the proceeds go to, I forget where the proceeds go to, but they chili dinner, and then so we're gonna do that. Lisa makes her famous. Well, actually, it was back when we were doing the keto diet. It was our keto chili. It's basically ground beef, some chicken, some steak, and a lot of bacon. Chili, no noodles, which I know is really a hot topic. I'm all for noodles and chili, by the way. But no noodles, nothing like that. She makes a really great chili. So they're having a big benefit. So we got that cooking tomorrow night, literally. Yeah, so when we did the the keto, we eliminated the beans. So no beans in no beans in the chili. Although I'm a big fan of beans in the chili, but we're not doing it that way. So cornbread. I guess there's going to be mac and cheese involved too. So I mean, you really can't go wrong. My mother used to make it with. My mother makes it with. It might be a local thing. I don't know. My mother has always made chili with noodles and like usually a couple different kinds of beans. Some people just don't. They don't see that. All right, I forgot I put that collector in here. If it were up to me, I'd put everything in the chili. I think it's time to change out this Dr. G solution. It's got some clumpy stuff on the in the bottom of it. Used to the great chili cook-off in Augusta, but COVID killed that. Yeah, not surprised. It is next to impossible to get in there. I do have though. Where is that? Got the tiniest little brush. Where did I see those? I had a whole bag of them. Don't scrape it out. That was actually pretty thick. You can see. got little tiny brushes somewhere. I got to find them. I can't remember if they're here or like I have them at home, but they might fit in here. It's just such a tiny, tiny space. Q-tip is just too big. Front side is bigger. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's that. That's no good. It's too big. All right. It's still spitting out stuff. All right. Well, we're gonna get this set up. Boy, my hands are just a disaster today, aren't they? We'll get this set up, and then we are going to just wait until we get a new sack, which I've been meaning to order anyway. So, and I'll hold on to this like this. So I've got my forefinger underneath it and my thumb on top, and then I'm just gonna hold it. I always hold it right up next to my chest, so my hands don't shake. You got to be careful if you're trying to clean off, like if you want to clean off this little black that's on here. It's really not necessary. I might try this. This might work. It's really not going to affect anything, and you'll never ever see it. And it's really just making a bigger mess than I need it to be. But it was worth a try, I guess. The problem with doing it is because it's so soft, you risk bending it at the feed and then breaking it off. So that's going to work. Well, it didn't work at all before, so there's really, you can't even say it's going to work 100 times better. All right. So, this I'm going to dump. I'm going to dump that. Hans isn't here, so he can't tell me how good it's starting to work. These guys are done. So tomorrow we're going to have these two to test and finish up, which will be good. And we just disassembled these touchdowns. We didn't do anything with them, so we'll jump in on those, try to get those done, because I know I've got a repair coming in the mail on Wednesday. So if I can get those cooking before that repair comes, that would be fantastic. This one's going to have to sit for a while until I get some sacks, which should be just a few days probably. But I think that's a good stopping point. It's 4:45. Carriage is turning into a pumpkin juicy. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna clean up too, and we're gonna call this a day. Slumberland, I got your email. I will email you back in a little bit here. But, so anyway, there we have it. Been a fun bunch of repairs today, huh? So we will try again tomorrow. See what happens. In the meantime, I hope you all have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take care. Bye.